A brackish dawn mist clung to the canals of Bravos, turning every water road into a strip of dull pewter, and Tycho Nestoris cherished the veil it granted. Within the Isle of the Gods, men swore their fealty to faceless idols. But within the maze of red granite that housed the Iron Bank, they bowed only to coin. Above the edifice's bronze doors, the eternal Titan glared in relief, his mailed fist raised in everlasting dominion. Tycho paused beneath that fist, smoothed the lapels of his smoke-gray doublet, and steadied his breathing. Today he would offer the greatest loan in the bank's long, ruthless chronicle, a loan repaid not in gold, but in a crown. Inside, candlelight left restless filaments across polished marble. The air smelled of sealing wax and ink, of oiled leather ledgers whose bindings were older than most kingdoms. A corridor of towering alcoves yawned toward an arched council chamber. There, 13 elders of the coin committee reclined like patient spiders behind a curve of white weirwood. Their faces bore the elegant ruin of time. Fine cracks at the corners of eyes, silvery webs within dark hair, but their gazes were bright and pitiless. Tycho crossed the threshold, souls whispering upon deep blue carpet, and stopped at the circle's center. He spoke without pleasantry. The Iron Throne of Westeros was bankrupt again. Its queen, Cersei Lannister, had gambled her realm's future on sellsword wages and wildfire caches. In the south, Highgarden's golden granaries lay in ashes. In the north, winter's teeth threatened every harvest. Coin was scarce as summer snow. No army marched for free. Desperation, he finished, creates markets. Elder Uthero Velaros tapped an ivory quill against locked fingers. The Golden Company already holds our paper, she reminded. They will not be paid unless the Queen prevails. Tycho inclined his head. The Queen will not prevail. King's Landing festers. Famine breeds discontent. What we lose through sellswords, we will recover through succession. A shaded lantern hissed. Elder Menep Sosoro adjusted it, casting a bar of light onto a folio that bore a single name. Orion Waters, Sosoro read, savoring each syllable. Bastard of Driftmark. Pardoned privateer. Commanded the royal fleet during the Baratheon Rebellion, absconded with half the navy, and now hides in lists. Tycho allowed a hint of smile. Orion Waters is the wrong name. The man's birth certificate, obtained through Lord Celtigar's exiled steward, reveals it was forged. His mother was indeed a Wild of Rainhouse, but his father was no common sailor. His father was Maelor Targaryen, third son of King Jaehaerys II, long presumed drowned in the stepstones. The dragon blood lingers in the bastard. May. A tremor passed among the elders, greed's private shiver. A half-Targaryen marionette would draw fervor from small folk, still enamored of old Valyria's mystique, yet he lacked the highborn allies to defy his creditors. Perfect. Tycho furnished parchment after parchment. Discreet investments in Orion's Corsair ventures, the debts he accrued to outfit Lysine galleys, the quiet arrangements to purchase those debts at fractions. He already belongs to us, Tycho said, voice velvet soft. All that remains is to install him. Silence bloomed, vast as a vault. Then Uthero set her quill aside. The war for Dawn's end bled Bravos of timber. The Taroshi embargo bleeds us still. Should this gambit fail, our ledger will blacken by 100 million golden stags. Tycho bowed. The risk is real. Yet imagine a client king whose first edict is the charter of an Iron Bank royal mint, stamping Braavosi sigils upon every Westerosi coin. Imagine docking fees flowing to us when his harbor is rebuilt with our loans. Imagine a crown that renews interest quarterly, not yearly. The gamble becomes arithmetic. Menenter Wandensar. One by one, 13 rings struck the table. Approval. When the final ring fell, the sound was like a gavel. That night, Tycho wrote a single-line dispatch on spider silk paper. The dragon grows restless. Feed him flame. It traveled by raven to Lace, then by covert courier to a tavern called the Green Manacle. Orion Waters resembled every romantic tale a dockside washerwoman ever whispered. Tall and silver-haired, with a smile too easy for safety. But there was something spent in his sea blue eyes. He sat in a lamplit booth, reading the Braavosi message. Its brevity frightened him more than a full essay could have. Coins jingled inside the pouch Tycho's agent delivered. 5 square bars of pure iron, each stamped with the Titan. Orion turned one over, studying the sigil. To a Braavosi clerk, iron was worth less than gold. To a Celsail adrift in foreign latitudes, it was worth an entire kingdom. A soft clearing of a throat broke his reverie. Across the table lowered a grizzled man whose left eye was a milky pearl. "They call me Rusk," he said. "I will be your harbor pilot through this storm." Orion summoned swagger with effort. "I'm a sailor, not a storm-she babe." "Why does the Iron Bank send a blind man?" "Because storms are best steered by those acquainted with darkness. And because I know King's Landing's alleys better than its rats know the sewers. The bank will sail you home hidden in plain sight." Rusk slid a folded chart across the table. "A Volantine noble cog departs at dawn for the narrow sea. You will pose as a slave merchant on his manifest. From there, a Pentoshi cog transfers you to Mir. Then a Myrish wine galleas to the Blackwater Rush. By the time customs inspects the hold, you will step off as Lord Aemon Waters, wine broker. 2 weeks later you become Prince Aemon Targaryen, the Forgotten Dragon. Time, my lord, is the true sea we must cross." Nememdawan. Orion traced the routes, red ink, heart pounding. "And if Queen Cersei discovers the ruse?" Rusk's ruined eye did not blink. "Pray she does not. The bank cannot save a drowned man twice." The Myrish galleas, Emerald Swan, cut through autumn fog like a knife sheathed in silver. Its captain, a spare woman named Ina Bohoros, observed her sole passenger from the quarterdeck. Orion stood at the prow each dusk, drinking the horizon until night bled its colors away, as though fearful dawn might never return. On the 5th evening, Yenna joined him. "You watch like a man expecting dragons." "Dragons are ash and bone," he said. "I watch for debt collectors." "Braavos?" "No. Conscience." She laughed, low and unexpectedly kind. "Conscience would have fetched you by now if it meant to. Coin travels faster." She pointed starboard where 3 gulls wheeled above frothing wakes. "When seabirds appear, land is near. Are you ready to see home?" "Men." Orion thought of the Red Keep's shadowed halls, of rumors that wildfire still stained its underside with sorcerous glow, of smallfolk hunger riots, of the gold cloaks rumored to trade bread for maidenheads. He had left as a hero admired by boys for his silver hair and sleek war galleys. He would return in the belly of a wine ship, disguised, indebted, and bound to unseen masters. But he would return. "Readiness is a map without landmarks," he answered. "I have no idea where I am on it." Yenna pondered that, then gave a slight nod. "Wear an iron coin about your neck. Braavosi custom. It reminds voyagers who truly guides the currents." Orion fingered the Titan bar in his pocket. "That would please them," he muttered. In King's Landing, the air was a hot broth of rot fish brine, and the sharp note of privies overflowing the gutters. The Emerald Swan docked at night, her crew loading barrels of false labelled arbor red to distract excisemen. Orion followed Rusk through an unlit wharf alley, past shuttered brothels, and the skeletal ribs of burnt warehouses. Moonlight slanted across charred timber like the bars of a submerged cage. They entered a cellar where torchlight painted walls, the color of dried blood. 3 figures waited: an archivist of the Iron Bank, a short Lycene apothecary, and a restless Bravo garbed in shadow black silk. The archivist produced a slim casket. "Your lineage," he said, unlocking the lid. Inside lay a crest wrought in pale gold, a 3-headed dragon overlaid by a crossed iron key. "Your father's signet, proven genuine by Valyrian script, on the reverse. Wear it when you speak to the mobs. They will not know the key, only the dragon." "Dend." Orion fastened the crest under his cloak. The weight felt enormous, a forged anchor hooking into his ribs. The apothecary held out a vial of thick crimson syrup. "Nightshade tincture," she explained. "A pinch on the tongue each dawn dulls nerves, flushes cheeks. Too much in your heart stops. Consider it incentive for measured courage. Orion pocketed the vial without comment. The Bravo merely bowed, swirling his cloak like spilled ink. When you require chaos, he whispered, send a black rook to the rookery. I answer to Prince Aemon alone. Dan Sai. Orion wanted to protest the princely title, yet the time for modesty was long drowned. What is your name? Names are for nights that end. I am the beginning of nights. Rusk grunted, unimpressed. He is called the Shadow of Silk Alley, nothing more. Pay him half before any service, the other half after. The Bravo vanished into the darkness like a candle snuffed. Tycho Nestoris had warned Orion that King's Landing was a theater whose actors killed for applause. But he had not warned how swiftly curtain and blade might fall together. 2 miles upriver on Visenya's hill, Queen Circe paced within the solar of Maegor's holdfast. Dust motes pirouetted in slanted torchlight, and beneath them the lioness prowled. Reports of fresh riots in Fleabottom stained her temper. The Iron Bank had already dripped its venomous whispers through her court. Default, 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 default. Circe's eyes, green as absinthe, blazed at Lord Tarly. Bread, she snapped. Buy it if we must, seize it if we can, but feed those wretches. A starving mob is only one spark from a wildfire. Tarly bowed. Granaries near Bitterbridge still hold stores. Then march there and take them. Another war, your grace? His tone teetered between warning and plea. Circe's lips peeled in scorn. War is winter's hearth. It keeps men occupied and women widowed, both cheaper than rebellion. But Tycho Nestoris was already in the capital, wearing the velvet face of courtesy. He awaited her summons, ledger quills poised like stilettos. No matter how fiercely lions roared, ledgers spoke louder. Orion rented a modest townhouse in the Hook, near traders but far from gold cloaks. By day, he sold casks of Myrish vintage, cultivating a reputation as a soft-voiced foreign broker. By night, he slipped through taverns, buying cups for sellswords and butchers alike, listening to the pulse of rumor. Winter wolves from the north grumbled that the queen taxed saltfish now. Septons whispered that the crown melted candlestick gold to plate new coins. Children sang scurrilous verses where Circe played the part of a drunken sow. Discontent foamed like tidewater gnawing at crumbling piers. Rusk served as silent steward, arranging clandestine audiences. One such night, in a decaying sept whose statues wore burlap shrouds, Orion met with 3 ragged sparrows. He unpinned the dragon crest and set it before them. My mother died at sea, he said, but told me my blood runs silver white. The gods sing that dragons return in Westeros' darkest hours. Look around you, can you hear their wings? The eldest sparrow's eyes glinted with fanatic hunger. If you are true, prince, call us to arms. Orion shook his head. No weapons. Not yet. Hope first. Bread, tar for roofs, lantern oil. Small mercies to prove a leader's worth. Spread word of a dragonborn who will heal, not burn. Ben? Tycho's instructions echoed in his skull. Win their stomachs before their swords. Throughout that winter, Orion funneled Braavosi coin into public kitchens, dyeing his sigil upon every loaf. He paid carpenters to mend the dragon pit's broken rooftops, so beggar children might shelter under its bones. He slipped coins to singers to weave his lineage into old ballads. And always, the Iron Bank kept ledger. Every copper spent drifted back as debt, binding him tighter. Far away, across blackest straits, in a lantern-strewn counting house, Tycho monitored dispatches by coded ravens. He labeled the scheme, Operation Argent Crown. For each step forward, he loaned another purse to Orion. Each purse secured against hypothetical royal revenues. Paper kingdoms grew within ledgers long before the Iron Throne tumbled. A year passed. 2. But King's Landing did not explode, it eroded. The ports silted. The streets sank in muck. Ships docked at Duskendale instead, and with them, tax levies. Circe's master of coin hung himself. The queen hired Qyburn to mint tin-plated groats, yet tin proved scarce too. Finally, Tycho walked the crimson carpet of the throne room with doom in his diplomatic smile. Behind him trailed 20 quill-bearers carrying rolls of parchment long as war galleys. Cersei descended the dais steps to meet him, dignity struggling against desperation. "Your Grace," Tycho began, voice gentle as snowfall, "no one begrudges a crown its debts. The Iron Bank merely requests a modest surety. The Crownland's harbor duties pledged for 7 years, and the city's toll gates leased to us." "And?" Cersei's jaw tightened. "You propose to strip my realm of income when I most need it." Tycho dipped his head. "Only so it may grow anew under our stewardship. The Iron Throne pays its debts." Tycho's smile never reached his eyes. History argues otherwise. That night, Cersei hurled a jeweled goblet across her solar, blaming her council, her father's ghost, the gods themselves. But rage did not conjure coin. In the hook, Rusk extinguished every candle save one. "It is time," he told Orien, pushing forward a wooden coffer. Inside lay a circlet of wrought iron capped with 3 tiny opals, evocative of dragon eyes. The metal was black and ugly, yet its weight tugged at Orien's wrists like fate. "A crown?" "Here," Orien whispered. "So soon." Rusk let the lid fall shut. "This is not the crown the realm will see. This is the crown you swear to before the Iron Bank, binding you to their ledgers. Place it upon your brow and renounce all other creditors. Their contract is simple. Reign until every interest payment is met. Should you falter, your reign ends." "Ben Shao." Orien's breath clouded in the cold air of the unlit chamber. The city outside groaned beneath winter wind. Somewhere, a dog howled. He lifted the crown, hands trembling, and settled it on his head, iron-kissed skin with icy bite. "I, Orien of mortal blood but dragon seed, pledge myself to the Iron Bank. Their word is vault and verdict. Their coin my breath, their interest my pulse." The candle sputtered, guttered, and died. Morning found King's Landing wreathed in smoke and rumor. A bakery in Flea Bottom had burned, killing 12 and charring loaves meant for starving queues. Angry smallfolk gathered before the ruined ovens. The gold cloaks arrived late, drunk. When one shoved a weeping mother with his spear butt, a stone flew. Then another. By noon the riot reached Cobbler's Square. A black-cloaked bravo, shadow incarnate, moved through the chaos whispering, "Bread is burnt because the lion hoards grain. Seek the dragon who will feed you." His knives flashed only when necessary, severing a purse of silver to scatter coins or slicing a rope to topple scaffolding, turning confusion into fury. By dusk, thousands chanted for the Dragon Prince, promised in alley songs. At first, Cersei scoffed. "Targaryen pretender, let them chase ghosts." But when ravens brought news that sailors in the docks now refused royal levies, pledging fealty to a silver-haired broker dubbed Prince Aemon, her scoff turned to snarl. Ravens winged south to Lord Tarly's siege camp, demanding swift return. They winged north to White Harbor, begging more grain on loan. They winged east, to the Iron Bank, requesting yet another extension. No raven returned with gold. Tycho dined on honeyed quail and seaweed salad, while reading the Queen's pleas. He sealed each scroll with a black sigil and set it aside. To Rusk he sent 3 words: "Unveil the dragon." Orien walked the inner courtyard of the tricksy townhouse, heart battering ribs. Scribes had prepared a proclamation on calfskin thick as sailcloth. He need only speak it upon a wagon dais in Cobbler's Square tomorrow. Rusk rehearsed the speech line by line, drilling cadence and pause. "Remember the 3 promises," Rusk urged. 1. Abolish bread levies until next harvest. 2. Open the royal granaries in Spicetown. 3. Issue copper pennies bearing a dragon to flood markets with token wealth. Simple pledges, all funded by Bravos. The mob loves simple. Orien bit his lip. And when Cersei's cat's paws draw steel, Rusk tapped faintly on the dusk-brown coffer that held the Shadow Bravo's contract. Chaos answers chaos. Night deepened. Orion retired to a narrow bed smelling of cedar and secrets. Sleep skittered like a frightened crab. He dreamed of his mother's lullaby, waves and wind, and of a faceless titan raising stone fists against the sea. Cobbler Square festered with banners of every shade save royal crimson. Rain clouds pressed low, as though the sky itself stooped to eavesdrop. A hastily built wooden platform stood at the square's heart. Orion climbed its steps wearing a weather-stained cloak and the dragon crest pinned over his heart. Beside him stood the eldest sparrow and 2 orphans in patched cloaks. Behind them, hidden on rooftops, lurked the shadow with poised daggers and a pouch of wildfire pots. Tycho's insurance. Orion cleared his throat. The throng's roar ebbed. "I come," he began. "Not a conqueror, nor a queen's dog, but a man of debts. Debts to the same hunger that twists your bellies, the same chill that cracks your lips. My father was a dragon who drowned before teaching me to breathe fire. So I burn in another way. I burn to heal this city." A hush, electric, rolled outward. "You have heard my name, Amon, or Orion. Call me what you wish. Names are smoke. Deeds are flame. Yesterday your bread was ashes. Today, wagons roll even now from Spitestown. Bread enough to feed every child within the city walls. If any captain hoards it, bring me his name. The baker will answer to steal." "Menschheit." Murmurs swelled. Hope wrestling doubt. "Your copper pennies melt in pockets. Mine," he produced a pouch and scattered bright coins, "are solid. Spend them, bind them into sleeves, hurl them at tyrants, the dragon's face will not bend." Coins tinkled like rain upon cobbles. Orphans scrambled, shrieking with glee. Orion raised gloved hands. "Lastly, I pledge. No levy shall bleed your crust until harvest's song returns. Winter is cruel, yet cruelty shall not be law while I breathe." For a moment, wind alone replied, rustling tattered banners. Then cheers erupted, ragged but growing. Some knelt. Others merely cried. From a rooftop, the shadow watched pleased. Knives sheathed. Chaos was not required yet. Within the Red Keep, ravens screeched as if sensing doom. Circe hurled goblet after goblet, purple wine weeping across flagstones. "Find him," she ordered, Sir Boros Blount. "Find this dragon bastard, and carve out his eye for every copper he scatters." Boros paled. King's Landing's alleys were labyrinthine, and small folk had favorites. But he obeyed. Tycho received fresh ledgers. Public kitchens now listed under Dragon Crown Relief Trust, a subsidiary wholly owned by the Iron Bank. The plan matured. Interest compounded. He asked an aide for warming spice wine, tasting future profit. Orion's next weeks blurred. Midnight councils in cellars, parchment rivers of expenditures to sign, patrols through Gerard's Way where beggars bowed. He ate little, slept less, fueled by nightshade nips. The crown of iron he had sworn upon remained locked away, yet it circled his dreams like an unseen halo. One dusk, as lanterns blurred under drizzle, he met Inabhoros again, now captain of a grain barge leased by Bravos. She studied his gaunt features. "Be wary," she said. "Men who feed wolves may find wolves prefer blood to bread." Orion almost laughed, but the sound died thin. "Wolves are a northern worry. In King's Landing we breed rats." "Ben? If so?" she countered. "Ensure you are not the cheese." In the Stormlands, word of the Dragon Prince reached disgruntled lesser lords whose coffers Circe had bled. Sir Mulador Swood rallied 100 knights and 500 smallfolk spearmen. They marched for King's Landing bearing a banner of a black dragon coiled around a silver coin. They claimed no intent to unseat the queen, only to guard the people's new protector. Yet every hoofprint shook the capital's cracked foundations. Lord Tarley intercepted messages and counseled decisive strike. Circe, cornered between famine and rebellion, agreed. 500 Lannister men at arms rode out at dawn, red cloaks snapping. The city held its breath. Orien summoned Rusk and the Shadow to the townhouse. "We must halt bloodshed," he insisted. "Convince the Stormlanders to remain outside the gates. Convince the Lannisters to stand down." Rusk steepled fingers. "Coin convinces sells words. Knights heed banners and bards. You must speak." "Speak where?" "Between charging lines." The Shadow unslung 2 leather satchels. "Wild fire pots," he murmured. "One above each column. Green flame breeds awe faster than sermons. They will freeze." "Dum?" Orien recoiled. "They will burn. Only if the pots break upon men. Drop them between riders." "Fear trumps steel." Rusk regarded Orien. "Choose, my lord. Words or wildfire. Either may crown you." Orien chose a third path. He donned plain wool, rode through the mud gate with a single squire bearing a white banner, and approached the Lannister column under mid-morning sun. Knights lowered lances, but held when they saw silver hair. He spoke clear and loud. "Turn back. The city needs grain, not steel. For every sword you bring, a child will go unfed while stores arm you. Sheathe them, and I will open our coffers to purchase your harvest surplus at fair price." "Thou." Some knights scoffed. Others, hearing their own farms named, exchanged glances. Commander Sir Rick Redwine demanded proof of payment. Orien produced Braavosi letters of credit, sealed in wax dial. The Lannister host hesitated, and in that pause, fate bent. From the east rode Ser Malador's Stormlanders, banners flapping. Yet instead of charging, they reined in, raising the Dragoncoin standard beside the white. Both armies waited, held by the unlikely sight. A lone cloaked merchant balancing the scales of war with parchment. Ser Rick ordered his men to bivouac. Parley ensued. Grain would flow, swords would stay sheathed. For now. Orien's legend swelled. But legends cannot feed ledgers alone. Each new merciful gesture drained Braavosi funds, and Tycho's scribes added lines of debt like chains. One bitter evening, Orien sat alone before a dying hearth, fingers black with ink. The iron crown lay on the table. He lifted it, weighing promise against bondage. Could he slip free if the time came? Or would the Titan's hand close and crush? He set the crown down, and flames guttered as though sighing. Cersei moved her war council to Maegor's hidden crypts. Torches hissed. Maps sprawled across stone slabs. Qyburn revealed a parchment, an assassin's contract retrieved from a brothel stoop. Target, Prince Aemon. Fee already paid by an unknown patron. That buyer, Cersei guessed, was not the Iron Bank. For Braavos preferred subtler snares. Perhaps one of her own jealous bannermen saw advantage in chaos. Treachery nested within treachery. She called for Sir Gregor Clegane. The mountain's monstrous silhouette bowed. "Find the bastard," Cersei commanded. "Bring me his head bathed in wildfire. Let the city watch his crown melt upon his skull." Gregor grinned, a death's head grimace. Rusk smelled danger long before ravens cried. "The lion has unleashed a beast," he told Orien. "Your townhouse is watched. We must shift your lair." They fled under moonless dark to the ruins of the dragon pit, lodging in tunnels once used for hatchling pens. The Shadow rigged net traps of rope and broken glass. Orphans served as eyes, paid with copper dragon coins. Still, the mountain advanced. One mist-swollen dawn. Screams tore through the pit's corridors. Orien emerged to find blood pooling around a shattered arch. An orphan lay slain, neck twisted. In a stone niche above, scrawled in gore, "Kneel or burn." Orien's hands shook. Rusk pressed a short sword into his palm. "The play grows savage. Decide, king or casualty." Orien looked at the blade, then at the iron crown hidden in his satchel. "If king," he whispered, "let it be for them." Tycho learned of the orphan's murder midday. His parchment reply to Rusk bore but 2 letters. DC. Debt collection. The Titan collects. A final loan would be extended. Lives in exchange for interest. As twilight bled scarlet across the black water, Orion climbed a cracked parapet of the pit. Below, torches flickered in the city's veins. He bowed his head, letting cold wind whip silver hair. He pictured his mother, weary, tender, the night she confessed his father's name. He recalled Lycene nights, where whores sang Valyrian shanties, voices trembling for old dragons. He remembered the Iron Bank's cellar, the acid kiss of Nightshade, the Crown's iron bite. A decision coalesced like frost upon water. He would wear the public crown at dawn, not Braavosi iron but one hewn of beaten bronze worked by city smiths. Cheap, bright, forgivable. He would present himself not as king absolute, but as steward of a realm until lawful rulers rose. And he would demand Cersei's abdication, offering exile instead of blade, magnanimity as weapon. Rusk protested. The shadow sharpened daggers. Yet Orion persisted. "If I behave as tyrant," he said, "I simply change the lion's coat for a dragon's." The people yearn for breath, not fire. "I'm sure." The shadow's knives hissed back into sheaths. "Then I will turn my chaos upon those who refuse breath." Dawn's pale banners unfurled over Visenya's hill. A wagon with plain brown sides rolled toward the Dragon Gate. Upon it, Orion stood in humble raiment, a bronze circlet crowning his hair. Orphans walked ahead, singing soft hymns. Sparrows scattered petals. Grain sacks piled high as proof of pledge. At the gate, 100 gold cloaks barred passage. Their captains scowled. No man passes armed. Orion lifted empty hands. "I bear no weapon? They've mercy." He gestured to sacks. The captain hesitated. Some cloaks shifted, staring at grain their own families craved. Then clank. Helms rose. The barricade parted. Within the streets, crowds emerged like seeds after rain. Women wept. Men chanted. Orion's wagon creaked toward the Red Keep, escorted by a tide of hope. High above, hidden in shadows, the mountain and his men awaited beneath an archway. A knotted rope dangled overhead, bearing a cask of wildfire poised to drop once the wagon passed, to bathe prince and mob in emerald apocalypse. Qyburn's design. The shadow of Silk Alley discovered the plot moments before detonation. He loosed an arrow, slicing the rope. The cask plunged early, smashing upon vacant cobbles, flame whooshing skyward harmlessly. But the blast's glare betrayed the assassins. The crowd saw. Fury answered. Stones. Spears and pitchforks surged. Gold cloaks, perhaps bribed, turned a blind eye. The mountain himself strode forward, great sword churning bodies, yet the mob swarmed like ants upon a lion. At last, the shadow darted beneath Gregor's guard, lashing curved blade across the giant's hamstring. Gregor roared, fell to a knee. 10 spears pierced, ropes pulled. When it ended, the monster lay toppled, visor caved, throat a ruin. A myth slain by hunger's wrath. Orion watched, soul numb. Mercy had met savagery. Savagery devoured. Blood-bright morning reached the keep walls. Cersei, seeing the dragon banners rising, fled inward to Maegor's dark passages. But passageways have ends, and torches fail. Teko's quills recorded the sequence. Queen vanished. Royal treasury seized. Iron Bank auditors installed. That night, beneath a cracked dome in the throne room, Orion sat upon the Iron Throne, not as final victor, but as placeholder. He proclaimed an amnesty for gold cloaks who served the people. He issued copper dragons, valued at a loaf of bread, minted in the Red Keep cellars under Braavosi oversight. And with quiet dread, he signed a treaty. 7% interest compounded yearly on loans now equaling 2 million golden dragons, secured against all port tariffs and royal mines. The Iron Crown would wait no longer. In a solemn chapel, Tycho placed it upon Orion's brow. The circlet's barbs bit skin. A bead of blood traced his cheek. The banker's torches flickered, gleaming off iron points. Long-reigned debt, Tycho murmured in High Valyrian, a toast unseen by any small folk. Orion raised weary eyes. Through shattered windows, he glimpsed the first new copper coins, glinting in torchlight like embers, passed hand to hand among cheering crowds below. He wondered which would run out first: the people's cheers, his courage, or the patience of his creditors. Night embraced King's Landing, gentle as a velvet noose, and the Titan of Bravos smiled across half the world. In the months to follow, wheat sprouted from Tyrell seedlings sown in the Crownlands. Distant lords weighed debts against loyalties. Whispers spread that the maiden-sept bells tolled a tune curiously akin to a Bravosi counting house chime. Orion presided over councils, where maesters argued mint ratios and the sparrows lobbied for alms quotas. His own face appeared on copper tokens, ironically cast beside the Iron Bank's key. Children played Flippy Dragon in streets once slick with filth. Yet with each dawn, Rusk tallied interest obligations. Every loaf distributed, every roof shingled, meant another line inked under liabilities. Orion dreamed of swimming, heavy chains tugging his ankles, bronze crown dragging him toward blackest depths. Tycho, meanwhile, penned letters suggesting a naval expedition to secure trade routes, a fleet funded by fresh loans, of course. He drafted a charter for a Westerosi branch of the Iron Bank, to be housed in the renovated Tower of the Hand. He ordered craftsmen to sculpt a smaller Titan to stand beside the Red Keep's gates. A gift, he wrote, from grateful creditors to a reborn realm. The Puppet King nodded, smiled, signed, ink pooling like blood from 1,000 unseen cuts. Far north, ravens carried tales to Winterfell's ramparts, to the Watch upon the Wall, to wildling tribes who cared little for coins. Eastward, the free cities sniffed Bravos expansion with wary eyes. In a mansion of Myr, a scarlet-robed priestess studied flames, and saw a bronze-crowned man drowning in molten gold, while green fire devoured a fleet. She wrote to her order, "The stranger king walks a path of shadowed debt. Salvation or scourge is yet unclear." In Dorne, Prince Quentyn, freed from old vows by Cersei's absence, considered marriage alliances to the new regime. Across the sea, exiled knights debated whether this dragon bastard might muster banners to retake old Valeria's ruins, searching for sorcerous treasures to pay the bank. The world watched, pockets jingling with dragon coins, while the puppeteer tightened strings of iron forged long ago in Bravos' deepest vaults. And beneath the Iron Throne, alone in candles' guttering gloom, Orion traced fresh interest ledgers, the ink forming chains around every breath. Somewhere in the keep, a child laughed, flipping a copper coin that glimmered warmly. One side dragon, the other key. Orion listened to that laugh, and for a heartbeat, hope flickered. Yet the candle sputtered, and shadows closed, whispering of tides that never cease and debts that never die. Okay. The rains came in sheets so fine they resembled silver thread, stitching river and roadway into one glinting ribbon. Each droplet rang against the city's cracked slate, like the faintest of coins. And Orion waters, King Aemon, some dared breathe at last, stood beneath an oiled tarp at the Tower of the Hand, measuring the sound. On a small table lay 3 objects: a ledger bound in brazen clasps, a rust-flecked longsword once wielded by a Kingsguard knight executed for desertion, and a bowl of fresh river mud delivered from a peasant delegation that morning, with the plea, "Fix this." He kept them there as tokens of the tasks no crown could shirk: accounts, war, soil. Outside the tarp, the shadow of his steward Rusk lengthened. "The grain caravans that bypass the Reach are 3 days late," he reported. "Bandits or worse. Stormlander levies gone freelance. The roads past Bitterbridge still swim in spring melt." Orion dragged fingers through damp hair. "Raise the reward for escorting each wagon. Pay half in coin, half in food for their families." Rusk hesitated. "That diverts stores from the city. We will cut bread portions by a mouthful each at the kitchens. 100 wagons unharmed feed more mouths than any single day of charity." "Ben?" The steward's approval came as the smallest bow. He liked numbers that aligned. So did the Iron Bank. But human hunger ignored arithmetic. When he was alone, Orion opened the ledger. Every figure had grown since yesterday: interest, loan extensions, canal repair costs, bribes to volunteer captains, to keep Lacine pirates at bay. The margins blossomed with scarlet ink. He pressed his thumb against a blot, let the wet stain his skin, whispering the simple reality. This page owned him more thoroughly than the iron crown hidden in his trunk. A knock on timber doorframe. The archivist from Bravos, sepulchral in mauve robes. "Your midday audience," he reminded. "Which one?" "Half the city, by the look of the queue." Dry humor from a man born among ledger dust. Orion straightened. "Send them to the outer gallery. I will stand, not sit. They must see fatigue upon me." Now, why invite pity? Because pity, unlike fear, doesn't add to the debt column. He followed the archivist through corridors, where mildew-veined tapestries of ancient Targaryen battles. Rain trickled down cracks in plaster, as though the red keep itself wept rusted tears. The outer gallery's pillars framed a coil of townsfolk, journeymen, and petty knights, each clutching some symbol of grievance, broken tools, snapped arrows. They parted warily at his approach. Those at the front bowed. Those at the back craned for a better view of the silver-haired curiosity who had traded lion for dragon with only parchment and promises. A blacksmith stepped forward. Soot streaked across her cheeks like war paint. "I seek restitution," she declared. "The crown requisitioned my charcoal stock for the city watch 3 moons past. Payment was stamped tin. Now worthless. My forge is cold." Orion produced a copper dragon and laid it in her palm. "Redeem this for hardwood billets at the wharf storehouses. Tell the quartermaster his credit is against my next disbursement." "Mentro." The blacksmith squeezed the coin. A spark of belief lit her eyes. She bent at the waist. Shoulders loosened. Hope, once stoked, radiated. Yet the line stretched 100 aggrieved deep. With each remedy he issued, the quiet archivist at his elbow noted the cost. When the last petitioner departed, Orion could almost feel the weight of new ink drying in the ledger. He braced both palms on the balustrade, staring into the rain drowning the city, wondering whether he had eased suffering or merely delayed its reckoning. That night, he skipped the nightshade tincture, seeking unclouded thought. Dreams seized him anyway, images of the Titan dragging chain-bound ships across black water. Tycho at its prow, Quill for rudder. He woke before dawn to mournful bells tolling far off. The city watch had discovered 4 corpses strung from the old gate of the gods, supposed Lannister loyalists, each with copper dragons nailed over their hearts. The gesture seemed meant to honor him, yet tasted of menace. He ordered the bodies cut down before sunrise, coin collected, and burial paid. But tongues wagged. The dragon's justice, they called it, swift and mortal. He wondered which shadow. Silk alleys or some new zealot had claimed the vigilantes. Downriver, in the salt-slick warehouses of the harbor district, Tycho Nestoris walked a freshly carpentered wharf, boots tapping new planks paid for by loans that bled interest already. He conversed with Captain Yena Baharos beside the prow of a svelte caravel, whose hull gleamed with pitch. "You shall christen her coin's compass," he instructed. Yena cocked an eyebrow. "Not Titan's grasp. That would unsettle our Westerosi partners. The compass suggests guidance, not seizure." "Now." Yet she is armed. 12 Scorpion ballistae, reinforced keel, and 3 banks of oars. Guidance comes with teeth. Tycho's smile was polite frost. The seas between Bravos and Westeros teem with uncertainty. Our merchant king's reign depends on uninterrupted trade. Steel is prudence. He signed papers. Empty rounds. Bowed. As he walked away, the stink of tar mingled with river silt, making him nostalgic for Bravos' clean sea winds. But expansion required peregrination. Bravos had lent its claws. Now it must spread wings across every port from the Arbor to Gulltown. Many crowns might topple before the Titan silhouette butchers, the sunsets of 100 harbors. On the 4th day after the hanged loyalists, Orion convened his so-called small council in a drafty chamber once used for royal musicians. The council was a mismatched ensemble in itself. Rusk, stoic finance captain. Maester Alifer, plump and mild, letters dangling from chain. Septon Rock, a sparrow who had traded burlap for modest silk. Lady Karenna Dondarrion, emissary from the Stormlands. And the archivist whose name Orion still could not remember, because the man insisted names encumbered objectivity. A damp log hissed in the hearth. "Reports," Orion said. Maester Alifer unfurled parchment. The granaries in Rosby now hold half their usual stores. Field rot outpaced our hopes. Rains were relentless. Rusk interrupted. "How much must we import to stave off deficit?" 10,000 bushels by first frost. Rusk turned to Orion. "That is 100,000 dragons at current Pentoshi rates. With freight insurance, 120. Lady Karenna tapped manicured nails on table. "Storm's End has stockpiled barley and oats. Trade routes are safer than across the narrow sea." Rusk replied, "Your liege Lord Selwyn Tarth demands remission of crown debts in exchange." "Only interest, not principal," she countered. "Interest is where the bank's appetite lies," Rusk said. The Sparrow Raw cleared his throat. If tithes on septs were lifted for a season, the faith could underwrite transport costs. Rusk shut that door swiftly. "No remission, no tithe lifting. We pay or we borrow." Orion leaned back. "We borrow, but not from Bravos. We will ask the Sea Lord of Bravos for introduction to Tyroshi investors independent of the bank." The archivist's shoulders tensed. "Diversifying lenders voids your covenant's exclusivity clause." "Let them sue me for living," Orion said. "We need grain more than tribute." Rusk's dark eyes widened the barest fraction. "I will draft discreet inquiries." They moved on. Word had come from Dorne. Prince Quentin wished to send a delegation led by Archmaester Jalabar of Sunspear. The council planned lodging, a ceremonial feast, and a subtle promise of harbor duty reductions on Dornish shipping. Lady Karenna smirked. "You hand every coin port to the Southrons and the Stormlands starve," she warned. Orion studied map scraps. "The Stormlands shall have coin through barley sale. The Crownlands shall have grain through Dorne's oranges and salted fish. Spiderwebs of need weave loyalty." "Ban? Or tangle?" Rock murmured. By dusk the council adjourned, drained. Orion paced the corridor afterward, fingers brushing dragon-shaped sconces. The Iron Crown still weighed on memory. To rule meant compromise, but compromises with ledger sharks devoured more swiftly than rains could replenish. In the corridor's gloom he spotted a shadow detached from a tapestry, the Bravo of Silk Alley. "We need words," the man rasped. Eyes glinted under cowl. Orion cursed himself for leaving guard behind. "Speak, then vanish. Someone mimics my craft. Hangings, coins nailed. Folk attribute to me. I prefer silence before thunder. Allowing confusion breeds chaos beyond measure. So, you want permission to kill the imitators? Name them first, kill second. Your grace will keep the streets clean of false shadows." Orion inhaled the damp air. "Investigate. Take no life until guilt proven." The Bravo inclined his head, slipping into stone-sprung night. Cersei Lannister, once queen unquestioned, lived now in a warren of secret passages under Maegor's holdfast, moving each dawn to avoid detection. A handful of sworn veterans remained. Ser Boros, gaunt from sleeplessness. Qyburn, eyes red-rimmed, robes crusted with soot from alchemical experiments. They had lost the mountain, lost half their gold cloaks, lost the treasury, yet not hope. In a torchlit oubliette turned laboratory, Qyburn unwrapped oily parchment to reveal 8 vials of basilisk venom purchased years ago from a shy Volantine trader. He mixed a drop into powdered crystal glass, forming a resinous paste. With a scratch across his copper coins, he whispered, "People would sicken. Die, blame the dragon pretender for poisoned currency. Panic would swallow him whole." Circe stroked the venomous paste with falsified tenderness. "How soon?" "The glass blowers in the Alchemists Guild can smelt it into coin molds covertly. Distribute in taverns, markets. Do it." Her voice was fractured iron. "The realm will learn that dragons bring plague, not plenty." She pressed a kiss to the paste-coated parchment, a snake kissing its own tail. Orion's next dawn began with a coated raven from the Riverlands. Sir Edmure Tully, freed by Lannister inattention, offered quiet allegiance in exchange for recognition of Riverrun's independence. Orion wrote back with quill racing, promise of trade pacts, grain corridor security, and seats at future councils. Already his realm resembled a quilt of private treaties, each patch bright, each seam perilously thin. He sipped watered wine, eschewing nightshade yet again. A tremor flickered inside his hands, withdrawal, or unease. He poured the remainder out the window. The rain swallowed it. Maester Oliver lumbered in carrying scrolls of naval manifests. "Coin's compass has docked," he reported. "The Braavosi captain presents crates of freshly minted copper, silver stars for wages, and a letter from Tycho. Invitation to inspect the bank's portable mint aboard her hold." Orion sighed. "Tycho aims to prove his benevolence. Or your dependence," Oliver supplied. A page announced the arrival of a Lycene silk merchant with new court attire. Orion almost laughed. A tailor, as though better embroidery might patch a realm. He attended fittings anyway, letting currant-colored velvet drape over shoulders while seamstresses cooed. They had used a lion motif softened into a dragon's coil, politics in thread. He recalled nights on Lys, where clothing meant seduction, not symbol. How far and heavy the crown, even when unworn. That evening a messenger collapsed at the mudgate, robes shredded by brambles. One of the escort riders sent to locate the missing grain caravans. He bled from a leg wound, delirious, green flames, highway, men screaming. Within an hour, survivors straggled in. Bandits had torched the lead wagon with wildfire. Goods lost, escorts fled. The watch commander confirmed. Shards of bright ceramic, alchemist sigils. Orion's stomach turned. Only Circe retained Quabern's services. He ordered 200 spearmen north at once, but road patrols could not conjure lost bushels. City stores would run short a fortnight sooner. At council that night, Lady Karenna spat curses. "If wildfire stalks our roads, every house will guard its grain, not share it." Rusk folded arms. "We must raise the reward again. Offer each caravan captain a copper grant per sack delivered." Oliver fretted, but counterfeits already erode trust. "Reports of duller tokens, wait wrong. The poison begins," the archivist said. Orion's voice rose. "Mint masters will assay every coin. We issue decrees of authenticity. Dragon on one side, Titan key on reverse, signed by my seal. Inspectors at gates." "Bam!" The Sparrow Rock murmured a prayer. Faith alone would not weigh coins. Outside official chambers, tavern talk curdled. Some swore their aunt's neighbor's child touched a dragon coin and fell ill within a day. Septon preachers hammered pulpits. "The Iron Bank curses our land, forging Lucifer's lucre." Fevered dreams spread faster than plague. Orion resolved to address the mob again. He chose the dragon pit. Symbolism, unmissable. Rain had ceased. Clouds tore apart to reveal a bruised sky. Torches ringed the amphitheater's broken teeth. He stepped onto a dais, by crumbling pillars. Clad in the current velvet, the bronze circlet perched upon his hair offered quiet glow. Crowds milled, huddled beneath cloaks, hungry, suspicious. He raised hands. "Twice in as many weeks, wildfire stole bread from your tables. Poisoned rumor now seeks to steal hope. Hear me. Counterfeit copper bears a lion's small crown etched behind the dragon's neck. True coin bears a key." He flicked one high. It glinted. "If hollow kings sow terror, let them show their faces. We confront fear with light." As he spoke, He noticed movement near the pit's edge, 2 figures climbing rubble, one holding a sack. The Bravo's silhouette emerged on a distant parapet, arrow notched. The sack-bearer hurled glints of copper into the crowd. A shout, then coughing, spasms. One man foamed at mouth. Another clawed eyes. Basilisk venom volatilized with sweat. Panic surged. The Bravo loosed arrow. The sack-bearer toppled, struck through throat, yet copper already scattered among feet. Orion vaulted from dais, gripping a torch. "Stay back!" he cried, stamping copper beneath boot, sweeping torch to scorch lingering venom. Guards converged, flames wavered, shrieks echoed. After hard-hammering minutes, they corralled surviving spectators, administering milk of the poppy dye. 3 lay dead. Dozens moaned, sickness creeping. He knelt beside a young girl retching blood. Her eyes huge with terror met his. He held her hair back as her body convulsed. When it ceased, her breath rasped shallow. He carried her himself to Maester Oliver. "Save this one," he ordered. "I will answer for costs." Midnight found him scrubbing venom from his palms until skin bled. Rusk entered quietly. The Bravo retrieved the saboteur's purse, marked with the Queen's sigil. Orion swallowed. "I will speak to the city at dawn again. You will look weak if you cannot end these attacks. I will look dead if I hide. We face poison with openness." Rusk's eyes flickered to the half-empty nightshade vial on the shelf. "Perhaps a moderate dose tonight to brace nerves." Orion shook his head. "No more clouds in my mind. Clear pain is truth. Now." He dismissed Rusk, then stood before a cracked mirror. Rain had revived. Droplets raced down glass like tears upon reflection. He whispered to that haunted twin. "How many breaths until death's noose snaps?" The image did not answer. Far south, across parched dunes, Archmaester Yalabar of Sunspear guided a caravan northward under a crescent moon. Sand snakes guarded wagons bearing oranges, dates, and crimson Dornish wine, a gift and lure. Alongside trotted armored spearmen whose cloaks bled flame hues. Yalabar's gray beard fluttered in desert wind. He murmured to Captain Miria Martell at his side. "If the dragon bastard values ports more than chains, we bargain on favorable tide." Miria laughed. "Ports? We bargain for his heart, Archmaester. Men enthralled to Ledger need a lover's fire." They pressed onward beneath silent stars. In Bravos, Tycho dined with the Sea Lord, courses of spiced octopus and wine so pale it glimmered like moonlight. The Sea Lord, lean and severe, listened to Tycho's shipping reports, occasionally brushing velvet sleeves. Tycho concluded. "The puppet's hold weakens. Poisoned currency rumor, Keyburn's design, erodes trust. Yet if he falls now, our ledger bleeds. Then see." The Sea Lord steepled slender fingers. "We might tighten strings, withhold next silver consignment until he stamps an edict pledging the Mother House of Whispers to our control." Tycho's pulse quickened. A spy network garrisoned within the Red Keep would anchor our investment. Yes, but he will balk. Moral revulsion unsuited to sovereigns. Then we remind him of balances due. The Sea Lord's gaze seemed carved from onyx. "Also, dispatch 2 faceless trainees. Cersei's chaos threatens profit margins." "Subtlety, Tycho. Dead chaos rots slower." "Benan." Tycho bowed, throat tight. Even he sometimes shivered at his city's unmoved arithmetic. King's Landing dawned rough and gray. Orion climbed the steps of Great Sept ruins. The Faith had relocated ceremonies to the Dragon Pit after the Sept of Beeler's destruction. But he chose this carcass for symbolism. Rebuild upon ash. He addressed a gathering of Septons, guild heads, and city watch officers. He spoke plainly. "Our currency is life. Our enemies make it death. I command a halt to all copper circulation until new mint marks are struck. We melt suspect coins and recast them in public view. Every man who yields imposter coin will receive equal weight of bread. No penalty. Trust cannot grow under fear." Nenderol. Murmurs rose. Relief. Skepticism. He continued. Furthermore, any found manufacturing poison shall face trial before gods and men. We will not become the city that devours its children. A watch captain asked, and when old debts press? Merchants will not wait. Orion answered, they will. I stake my crown. Should grain shortage persist, I relinquish harbor duties to the guilds until stores refill. We share pain, we share bounty. Then? That concession astonished many. Some nodded, hearts warming. Others whispered that a king who gave away coin was either saint or fool. Afterward, he stood upon charred steps, letting drizzle bead his circlet, feeling exhaustion like frost inside bones. The bravo emerged from ranks, stained arrow shafts in fist. The saboteur was Qyburn's apprentice, he reported. Confessed before arrow eased breath. Named a rendezvous beneath Rhaenys Hill, alchemical cache. Orion considered. Show Rusk. Seize the cache. No fire, only water until safe. Nemto. The bravo half smiled. Water tames many flames. Some require blood. Hold your blades until I command, Orion said, though his own heart yearned for swift severance of threats. Beyond Muddy Way, Qyburn oversaw another batch of venom-laced coins. His pale eyes gleamed behind smoky lenses. Subordinates ground glass, stirred molten copper. A whistle from tunnels. Sir Boros returned with news of failed attack. Qyburn accepted calmly. Progress endures through iteration. Next press yields perfect mimicry, but deeper tunnels rattled. Gold cloaks posted as sentries fell to silent arrows. Smoke grenades fizzed, vomiting no smart ash. Qyburn fled into serpentine corridors, carrying a single satchel of finished coins. Sir Boros hacked at shadows, but each echo became another assassin shape. Rusk's men advanced methodically, ropes and sand ready to smother wildfire. Beneath torchlight, they doused forges, chained apprentices, confiscated molds. They found recipe scrolls, acids, venoms, ratios, carefully rolled. Rusk stored them in a lead-lined chest, sealed. Qyburn escaped via a hidden bolt hole, but his workshop lay broken. Poison denied. Orion received the chest and burned the scrolls that night in the throne room hearth. Greenish smoke curled up stone flues. For a fleeting moment, he tasted victory's aroma. Acrid, fleeting. Dorne's caravan arrived under crimson banners 2 days later. City gates swung aside at sunrise. Spectators oohed at the sleek camel-drawn wagons, at the spear dancers performing leaps that flickered like flames. Archmaester Jalabar, stooped but hawk-eyed, presented a letter bearing Prince Quentin's seal. Orion met them in the throne room, tapestries of scorched red and new gold-lined walls. Courtesy of the Lysine tailor. Jalabar bowed. Prince Quentin extends cordial regard and trade goodwill. The South remembers dragons kindly and fears lions still. Orion smiled. Dragons are best remembered warm, not burning. They discussed port levies, road security, and shared enemy of plague rumor. Miriam Martell spoke boldly, leaning on spear. House Martell offers not only fruit and wine, but men. 200 desert riders to patrol grain caravans. Council murmured approval. Security unsaddled from bank expense. But Jalabar proffered final condition. Recognition of Dornish inheritance laws within their borders. Women may rule without challenge. Orion chuckled. My mother would applaud. Done. Lady Karenna scowled, thinking of Stormlander claims. Yet alliances outweighed jealousies. That evening's feast unfurled beneath tallow chandeliers replenished brightness. Musicians plucked soft ballads. Orion wore a simpler circlet of wrought bronze, six-pointed star interwoven with dragon tails. Blacksmith gift. He toasted Dorne, toasted bread, toasted peace. He drank spiced wine sparingly. Midway through, a commotion at doors. Maester Oliver rushing, cheeks red. He whispered, "A ship from Bravos anchored at Breakwater. Sailors bring crates for the bank's mobile mint." Demand entry to keep vault tomorrow. Orion nodded. Grant docking rights but no vault entry until I inspect manifest. Oliver bowed. Across the hall, Jalabar watched the whisper, amused. Miria's eyes followed Oliver. Everyone sensed the tug of invisible strings. Night deepened. Orion walked balcony terraces with Miria, warm wind carrying orange blossom perfume from her cloak. She teased, "Do you fear your bankers?" "I fear the weight of unending sums," he said. "Then shift it. Debt is sand, pour it into another's eyes." She gestured south, where a brazier on the rooftop burned Dornish saffron orange. Dorne once paid tribute to old Valyria for peace. When the dragons fell, Dorne ceased paying. No empire returned to collect. Orion considered. The Titan still stands. She touched his chest above the dragon crest. Titans topple when earth shakes. What shakes earth? Not war alone. Storms, dragons, lovers. He smiled. Tired. Real. I have neither dragons nor time for lovers. Make time. She purred. A shout snapped through darkness. Guards wrestled an intruder. Ragged, eyes wild. He had scaled the outer wall. "Betrayal!" he screamed. The Braavosi mint prince lead coins waited, worthless. They gagged him. Orion signaled hold. "Speak," he ordered. The man spat blood. "I served in the hold of Coin's compass. Saw smelters pour scrap into molds for dragons. Thin, copper skin, over lead heart. You paid debt with fraud. They'll hang us all. And now all." Orion's stomach fell. He dismissed others, took the man inside, listened. The story unfolded. Banks Mint produced genuine coins under watch, but an inner cabin forged duplicates solely for debt payments back to Braavos, debasing only outgoing tributes. A scheme to harvest real copper while flooding vaults with false. Shock numbed his limbs. If true, Tycho betrayed not only him but the realm. Yet, accusation required proof. He ordered the man discreetly jailed in tower upper cell with guard and warm meal. He summoned Rusk, relaying quietly. Rusk's brows knit. If bank defrauds its own puppet, this is contingency. They assume your reign fails, want metals out first. We must seize the ship, Orion said. Braavosi sailors are numerous, armed. Their letters of marque grant certain immunities. My crown grants more. Rusk rubbed temple. A storm, sire. One front from alchemy, one from Braavos. Our walls thin, then we thicken them with truth, Orion answered. Dawn-tinted river gold. Warships at breakwater raised Braavosi pennants. Dockworkers craned at the sleek coin's compass and her escort, the Olaros. Orion, cloaked in muted gray, rode with 50 palace guards to the quay. Yna Bahoros awaited. Smile crisp. Tycho's memorandum in hand. Your Grace, she greeted. The Titan extends compliments. Shall we convey the mint to your vault? Orion dismounted, voice calm as still water across ice. First, a personal inspection of your cargo. Procedure, after the counterfeit plague. Yna's smile shrank. Of course. They boarded. Below deck, he found sealed chests. Yna produced keys, 2 separate locks per chest. He opened the first. Neat rows of copper dragons, dragon side gleaming, key side crisp. He plucked one, weighed it, felt heavier than usual. He wrapped it on chest lid. Dull thud. He scratched edge with dagger tip. Copper flake peeled, revealing dark metal beneath. Guards tensed. Yna's veneer cracked. You misunderstand. Test coins. A test fails the realm, he cut. All crates under arrest. Crew detained until tribunal. Yna stepped back to railing. Seagulls screeched. You seize Braavosi property. I reclaim Westerosi integrity. She folded arms. The bank will respond, Orion signaled. Guards took hold of sailors, hauled crates up gangplank. Harbor cranes swung to lift them onto quay. Seagulls shrieked over unfolding drama. By noon, word spread through King's Landing. The dragon had unmasked titanic treachery. Cheers bubbled. Suspicion of coins turned outward, not inward. Yet the archivist from Bravos stormed the throne room, eyes blazing. This is theft. The bank demands redress. Orion faced him. The bank dealt false coin. Redress begins with apology. Then she. The archivist's lips trembled. Bravos does not apologize. It balances. Then balance this. I withhold all interest payments until an independent assay certifies future shipments. Orion signed decree. Wax seal hissed. Default invites collection, the archivist warned. Collection welcomed, in gold, not lead. After the man left, Rusk said quietly, "You have declared war without swords." Orion exhaled. "A war of ledgers. We fight with hearts of copper, not barbs of iron." Rusk placed hand on ledger. "Then let us sharpen sums. We need allies beyond seas." "Them? Send ravens to White Harbor, River Run, Storm's End. Share evidence, request unified front against monetary assault. Offer trade concessions, we make coin of trust." Rusk bowed, a rare glint of pride warming his stoic gaze. In a sunlit forge off Blackwater Bay, the blacksmith whose charcoal had been seized hammered a sheet of thin copper. She etched dragon scales by memory, fused silver filings along ridges. She was joined by 3 apprentice smiths, each stamping a letter D within a 7-pointed star on blank discs. New coin, local, untainted. When inspectors arrived, she unveiled them proudly. Small folk mark, value 1 loaf, minted by guild authority, backed by grain. Inspectors balked. She held her ground. Better bread pledge than banker lead. She quit. They recorded findings for council. Words of the small folk, mark sped. Bakers accepted them a day later, millers next. Within a fortnight, markets thrummed with copper so fresh it smelled of forge smoke. Orion learned of it and laughed, free yet wary. Rusk argued for regulation. Sparrow Rock hailed it as divine providence. Tico's ravens arrived demanding return of property. Orion returned a single lead-filled coin, words etched. Send true metal, receive true loyalty. Circe seethed, pacing her hidden sanctum. Coin poison failed. Wildfire ambush thwarted. Counterfeit plot reversed. Yet she still had one blade, Euron Greyjoy, Reaver King of the Iron Islands, rumored near Fair Isle with fleet of black-hulled leviathans. She penned letter with trembling hand. Come to Blackwater mouth. Gold beyond dreams if Dragonhead delivered. She sealed with lion wax, laced with saffron. A scent Euron claimed reminded him of burning cities. Boros dispatched Raven. Qyburn concocted new plague brewed from rat fleas. And far out at sea, sails striped black and red shifted toward east. Winter's breath cooled nights. The girl Orion had saved recovered. Cheeks plump again. She visited Bread Plaza, where free loaves baked in communal ovens. She held a small folk mark up to sky, seeing dragon silhouette dance inside copper sheen. She believed kings could be kind, bankers could be beaten, and dragons might yet shield rather than scorch. Children followed her lead. Pockets clinked. But inside Orion's solar, ledger pages still grew heavy. Rusk projected 6 months before default, if Bravos withheld funds. Grain caravans trickled, but fields needed sowing, roads mending. He and Oliver drafted tax proposals. Modest tariffs on Dornish wine, incremental tolls on Stormland grain. Orion wept at each new fee. Soft bite, he murmured. So the wound can heal. Miriam Martell visited often. Speaking of southern coastlines where shipwrights erected new yards for a royal fleet, free of foreign loans, she offered sailors, timber, shipwrights, all on promise of future status. Orion found solace in her laughter, warmth beneath Dornish cloak on windy terraces. Gossip sprouted, king and spear. He neither confirmed nor denied. Let rumors of love buoy hearts. Tycho, hearing of seized mint, sailed personally aboard a swift galley. He arrived cloaked in neutrality, but eyes smoldered. He requested private parley in the throne room at midnight. The meeting crackled with lantern flame. Tycho recited clauses of breach, penalties enumerated in chilling lilt. Orion countered with crates of lead coin. Fraud voids contract, he insisted. Tycho protested innocence, blamed rogue mint master. Orion demanded public confession, indemnity, and true copper replacement at bank's expense. Tycho's veneer cracked. Rage dipped in ice. Braavos forgives one slight, he said. Not three. Choose. Repay debts in gold within 90 days, or yield Crown Lands ports. Orion answered, I choose my people. Tycho bowed shallow. Then may they shield you from waves. He departed. Thunder rolled over bay, though skies clear. Portent or cannonade of ledger war. Rusk drafted letters to Pentoselis. Tyrosh. Free traders. Private lenders. Maester Oliver negotiated with Guild of Alchemists to produce lime fertilizer instead of wildfire. Sparrow Rock organized grain tithe blessings, sanctifying fields to encourage planting rather than hoarding. Lady Karenna marshaled Stormland scouts to hunt bandits. Dorn's riders patrolled roads, bright spears glinting. Still, tension coiled. The archivist vanished one dawn. Rumors of faceless men echoed. The Bravo increased patrols, eyes ever shadowed. Orion slept little. Without nightshade, nightmares sharpened. Titan towers wading through city, each step crushing newly minted marks, small folk wailing. He woke sweating, fingers clutching phantom chains. He donned simple cloak, walked rampart walk to breathe salt. Stars pulsed above, indifferent debt counters across infinity. Miria found him there, hair loose. She took his hand. Dragons breathe fire outward, but their fire begins in the heart. Guard yours, he whispered. My heart is ledger-tied. She pressed palm to chest. Then burn the ledger. Could it be that simple? A gesture, a refusal, a bonfire of debt pages. Fire might free, or roast realm alike. Orion turned inland, seeing lamplight twinkling across slums like scattered embers. In each flicker, a life pinned on his promise. He realized he was both puppet and puppeteer now. Strings in his own hands, though they cut skin. He would pull them. He summoned counsel at dawn. Writs prepared. Decree nullifying exclusive contracts with Iron Bank. Establishing Kingdom Treasury Board, shared by representatives of guilds, faith, maesters. Currency to be minted under tri-key system. Smiths, Septend, and Maester. Each hold part of die. Grain reserves recorded in public ledgers, accessible to any literate citizen. Harbor fees to support roadworks, not vaults abroad. Trade envoys to Karth, Astapor, beyond, seeking silk and spices to balance books. Rusk's eyes gleamed. Fear and excitement. Revolution by writ. Yes, Orion said. And if the Titan answers with iron? We ready slings at ankles, Rusk answered, surprising a grin. Sparrow Rock prayed. Lady Karenna smirked. Maester Oliver adjusted spectacles, muttering logistics. Miria leaned on spear, approval shining. The decree scrolls were signed by midday. Town criers read them in markets. The blacksmith minted commemorative tokens. Phoenix rising from broken chain. Children chased each other, yelling, Sparrow marks, Phoenix marks, bread coins. Tycho's galley hoisted black sails and slipped downriver, a promise of storm. Late, in the throne room's hush, Orion reopened the Iron Crown's chest. He lifted it into torchlight. The points no longer seemed barbs, but petals of steel lotus. He placed it upon his head, resolved to wear it openly henceforth. If it cut, let blood witness vow. He stepped onto the balcony overlooking the city. Rain had ceased. A breeze carried scent of fresh-baked bread. Bells that once told doom now chimed midday commerce. Below, Copper glints danced in sun, and somewhere a child laughed. The same joyful chime Head heard months ago. Orion closed his eyes, feeling crown press skin. Debt heavy, hope heavier still, he whispered to wind. Let the Titan come. Seagulls wheeled, clouds marched, and beyond horizon, black-hulled ships turned their prows toward turbulent seas, where accounts and arrows alike sought balance.